Good day, everyone. Today, I am going to present to you my research entitled Research Productivity for Augmenting the Innovation Potential of Higher Educational Institutions, an Interpretative Structural Modeling Approach and MICMAC Analysis. This research is actually in collaboration with Cebu Technological University and faculty members of Siquijor State College. To wit, here are the authors: Dr. Landon Ocampo, Jorabel Lourdes Aro, Samantha Shane Evangelista, Fatima Maturan, Catherine Yamagashi, Dave Mamhot, yours truly, Dina Fe Mamhot, Edgar Tibay, Joseph Pipito, and Renaisa Quinones. Before we proceed, let me introduce myself. I am Dr. Donairos Calibo Senet, a Doctor of Information Technology. I have also earned 33 units of PhD in Technological Management. I have Master in Public Management and Master in Science Teaching Computer Science. I am also an Information Technology Professor and a former Dean of the College of Technology, where I am currently the Research Director, which is Siquijor State College. I have made research contribution in the areas of information theory, data mining, and system development and design. I have also served as technical committee member, reviewer, presenter, and chair in various conferences and journal publications. For our introduction, the nature in which research investment led to socioeconomic growth is often not well defined. Nevertheless, compelling empirical evidence suggests that basic research, innovation, and discovery create commercially viable technologies, stimulating private sector-led economic and social development. Return on investment publicly funded research and development is approximately at 20%, higher than the 6.8% on stock and 3.1% on bonds. In agricultural systems research, for instance, the proliferation of new crop varieties that promote increased productivity resulted from improved biotechnology research. Furthermore, research funded by the National Breast Cancer Foundation led to a 10% change in policy, 11% new product development, and 14% change in clinical practice. Policy makers and scientific communities witnessed the expansion of scientific information, recognizing the importance of university research. Thus, emphasis on collaborations in various sectors to improve research productivity has become an important policy agenda. Consequently, higher educational institutions are the catalyst of knowledge transfer and research. Thus, research productivity become a crucial indicator of most university ranking systems, compelling HEI leaders to seek ways to motivate lecturers to conduct research and publish their output. Emphasis that HEI should regularly evaluate the research productivity of academics to assess potential career growth and address future challenges. Various studies attempted to identify the driving factors of research productivity. Several works have categorized this driver into two main groups: human and organizational. The human-organizational dichotomy is a widely recognized framework for identifying driving factors of research productivities. Drivers under the human category include research skills and competence, self-efficacy, global innovativeness, individual factors, self-determination, mentoring, and dynamics of professional life, among others. On the other hand, organizational factors include institutional support, departmental culture, tenure and promotion, research-oriented culture, and situational factor. However, some pointed out that human and organizational drivers do not entirely influence research productivity. Understanding the role of technology use or research productivity has become increasingly important. Thus, Numerous attempts investigated the impact of using technology on raising the productivity level of academics. In addition, the impact of financial resources such as research funding and reward system also became a point of interest in exploring research productivity. Evidence suggests that both factors strongly influence. Although there have been works in the literature investigating various driving factors, only a few studies use a framework that incorporates all possible factors that may drive research productivity in the attempt to evaluate them critically. Moreover, current literature merely identifies the driving factors of research productivity without directly exploring their interrelationship, which may provide an in-depth analysis of their intricacies and gave rise to better understanding for their nature. The lack of understanding of the interrelationship among the driving factors of research productivity may provide a constricted view of its fundamental structure. Furthermore, such as understanding of this interrelationship is crucial in gaining meaningful insight into the design of initiatives that would better comprehensively address research productivity. While there is an accumulating set of empirical evidence that the identified driving factors in the literature influence RP, it is essential to consider that the driving factors may impact other driving factors due to their loosely defined boundaries. This work presents a comprehensive list of these driving factors that was obtained through literature survey. Due to the subjectivity of these driving factors and the notion that the evaluation of the interrelationship between them is based on the expert's judgment, interpretative structural modeling or ISM was adopted to describe the context relationship. ISM and its corresponding graphical representation uses MICMAC analysis as a popular tool for defining contextual relationship among the elements representing causes of driving factors of a particular problem or issue. In the interpretative structural modeling, elements with direct or indirect relationships are organized in a directed graph where the elements are considered vertices and their relationship as directed edges of arc. To illustrate such an application of the ISM MICMAC analysis in exploring the relationship of driving factors of RP, a case study in the Philippines is presented in this work. In describing the factor relationship of the driving factors under consideration, a proposed survey of 30 domain experts who have significant knowledge and experience in managing R&D initiatives was conducted. The main departure of this work is to identify the relevant factor that drives research productivity and establish a significant relationship in order to identify crucial driving factors as inputs and decision makings and policy. The remainder of the article is organized as follows. For Section 2, it identifies the driving factors of RP and discusses their theoretical and empirical relationship derived from the current literature. Section 3 is an analysis on the detail for the background of the ISM and MICMAC. For Section 4, it presents the application of modeling RP. For Section 5, it elaborates the results and highlights some policy takeaways. And for Section 7, it presents the conclusion and a discussion of future work. For the review of the related literature, here are the identified factors. We have research skills and competence, self-efficacy, global innovativeness, individual factors, self-determination, mentoring, dynamics of professional life, institutional support, departmental culture, tenure and promotion, research-oriented culture, situational factors, electronic information resources, research funding, reward system, research gaps, and contribution. These are all the factors. For the methodology, we begin with some preliminaries. Identify the elements under consideration. Note that these elements to some extent must be homogeneous with respect to the concept under investigation. This process may be carried out by, but it's not limited to, reviewing the domain literature, conducting a survey, implementing a focus group discussion, or the combination of this method. For step 2, considering that the structural model have been established by a small group of domain experts eliciting judgment individually, these are the 30 experts that have been mentioned earlier. A structural self-interaction matrix is constructed for each expert. Otherwise, when the group decides on a consensus, one SSIM is generated representing the group decision. These experts are asked to decide on the contextual relationship represented by the relationship R between the two elements. Now, for the notation, this is used. For notation are used to describe the relationship between a pair of elements. V for the relationship from I to J but not in both directions. A for the relationship from J to I but not in both directions. X for the relation from I to J and from J to I both direction, and O for the no relation that exists between I to J. For step 3, this is used to convert the SSIM into a binary matrix representing using the following relation. V implies that IRJ equals 1 and JRI equals 0. A implies that IRJ equals 0 and JRI equals 1. X implies that IRJ is equal to 1 and JRI is also equal to 1, while O implies that IRJ is equal to 0 and JRI is equal to 0. For step 4, we will have now the conversion. To convert the SSIM into a binary matrix representing using the following relation. V implies that IRJ equals 1 and JRI equals 0. A implies that IRJ equals 0 and JRI equals 1. X implies that IRJ equals 1 and JRI equals 1, and O implies that IRJ is equal to 0. And now let's go to the application of the ISM MICMAC analysis in understanding the relationship of the driving factors of research productivity. The following are the steps of adopting the ISM MICMAC analysis in determining the relevant relationship between the driving factors of RP and consequently identifying priority factor. For step 1, we put the list of the driving factors of the research productivity. First, the final list of the RP driving factors is shown in Appendix X. These driving factors were obtained through an extensive literature review as described. Moreover, corresponding codes were assigned to driving factors for convenience of representation. The step 2 is to construct an individual SSIM for each expert. 5 experts were asked to elicit judgment on the contextual relationship among RP driving factors. Expert 1 is a professor of mechanical engineering and the current vice president of production extension and business affairs of a state university. Expert 2 is a dean of the College of Business and Management of a state college. Meanwhile, Expert 3 is a director of external affairs of the same state college. Expert 4 is an associate professor and a director for research center in a state university who has published over 100 peer-reviewed journals articles in management, engineering, and the public sector. Finally, Expert 5 is a chair of the Tourism Management Department of a state university and has published over 20 journal articles in tourism and marketing. The main age is 42 years old and the main academic experience is 19 years. All hold a PhD degree and hold administrative functions in their organization. Experts were briefed among the study and the corresponding questionnaire, which was drafted in the context of the ISM. The questionnaire was distributed to the expert, and questions regarding the questionnaire were immediately addressed. A corresponding SSIM was constructed for each expert with entries representing V, A, X, and O as discussed in 2 other steps. Thus, Please look at the structural self-interaction matrix. As you will be able to see, the driving forces or factors were actually identified. The research skills and competence, self-efficacy, global innovativeness, individual factors, self-determination, mentoring, dynamic of professional life, institutional support, departmental culture, tenure and promotion, research-oriented culture, situational factors, electronic information resources, and of course, the research findings. For step 3, we will now set up the corresponding initial reachability matrices. An initial reachability matrix was constructed for each SSIM using the representation described in step 3 and step 2. Thus, table 2 shows the corresponding initial reachability matrix of the SSIM in table 1. To construct an aggregate initial reachability matrix for this work, the aggregation of the initial reachability matrix assumed the following process. First, a priority weight is assigned to the addition to his/her knowledge and experience in the RP domain. Follows the normalization formula, where A represents an aggregation threshold. We compute the final reachability matrix. The final reachability matrix shown in Table 4 was obtained using Step 6 with the aid of Warshall's algorithm. We construct level partitions. Using algorithm 1, each driving factor is assigned to a level in the proposed hierarchical structure. The assignments are described in Table 5, and it shows that 10 driving factors are positioned in level 1, while there are institutional support that is assigned to level 4. Step 7 shows that we need to draw the final interpretative structural map. The final interpretative structural map is constructed using the level partitions in Step 6 and the initial reachability matrix in Table 3 as shown in Figure 1. Step 8, we perform the MICMAC analysis. Figure 2 shows that the graphical representation of the driving factors of RP according to the autonomous dependent linkage and independent cluster. It reveals that the 9 driving factors belong to the linkage cluster, 5 are in the independent cluster, while tenure and promotion is the only factor in the autonomous cluster. Autonomous cluster contains no driving factor for RP. So here now is the partition and leveling of the research productivity research factor. So the interpretative structural model of contextual relationship of research productivity structures. This means that the ISM and MICMAC analysis were implemented with the steps provided in Section 4. First, 5 SSIM from the expert group were constructed corresponding Step 2. Following Step 3, the SSIMs were transformed into initial reachability matrix. Afterwards, these individual initial reachability matrices were aggregated via a defined aggregation procedure that approximately captures the knowledge and experience of the experts on research productivity in academic institutions. Step 4 generates the aggregate initial reachability matrix and the final reachability matrix, which encompasses the indirect relationship of the driving factors and was obtained to contain transitive relationship. Following the implementation of Step 5, the hierarchical order of the driving factor, which makes the construction of the diagraph, where interpretative was obtained using Step 6 and is presented in Table 5. Figure 1 depicts the diagram showing the relationship among 15 driving factors of RP. Thus, the provision of electronic information resources and mentoring opportunities. For the results and discussion, the ISM and MICMAC analysis were implemented with the steps provided in Section 4. First, 5 SSIMs from the expert group were constructed corresponding to Step 2. Following step 3, the ISSIMs were transformed into initial reachability matrices. Afterward, this individual initial reachability matrices was aggregated by a defined aggregation procedure that approximately captures the knowledge and experience of the experts on RP in academic institution. Step 4 generates the aggregate initial reachability matrix and the final reachability matrix, which encompasses the indirect relationship of the driving factors, was obtained to contain transitive relationship. Following the implementation of Step 5, the hierarchical ordering of the driving forces, which makes the construction of the graph or interpreted, was obtained using Step 6 and is presented in Table 5. Subsequently, the D-graph was drawn from the final reachability matrix as suggested in Step 7. The D-graph, which also represents the interpretive structural model, is shown in Figure 1. The MICMAC analysis is carried out using Step 8, where the driving and dependence powers are used to assign the challenges into 4 clusters as represented in Figure 2. Figure 1 depicts the diagram showing the relationship among the 15 identified driving factors of RP driving factors as arranged in 4 levels in a hierarchical structure. Those at the lower level of the hierarchy drive the factor at the upper level. As illustrated, those at the lower level of the hierarchical drive the factors at the upper levels. Driving factors such as research skills and competence, self-efficacy, global innovativeness, research-oriented culture, individual factors, situational factors, departmental culture, tenure and promotion, self-determination and dynamic of professional life are found at Level 1. Driving factors belonging to Level 2, including mentoring, electronic information resources, and research funding while reward system is the only factor belonging to Level 3. Institutional support, which can be categorized as organizational resource, is the most elementary driver of RP and is located at Level 4. The ISM MICMAC analysis also suggests that no dependent driving factor emerged, implying that although some factors may have tendencies to be dependent on other factors, they have more driving power than dependence power. Autonomous driving factors both have low driving power and dependence power, resulting in the relative disconnection from the system. Results indicate that the tenure and promotion factor is considered autonomous. Based on Figure 1, it is also affected by 2 other driving factors, namely institutional support and research funding, and does not impact other driving factors. This finding implies that while efficient tenure and promotion scheme promote research productivity, without institutional support and research funding that would support the provision of the tenure and promotion guidelines of the organization, its potential may be insufficient to hold a significant ground. Argued that the relatively higher requirement for tenure and promotion schemes have a perverse effect on the motivation of academics to pursue more research goals. This relationship may be aggregated by the presence of no financial funding and supported policies that would foster an environment for academics to achieve tenure and promotion requirements. Thus, decision makers and research managers must focus their initiative on advancing institutional support and research funding when the development of tenure and promotion provision aims to maximize research output. The research also reveals 9 factors that belong to the linkage cluster: research skills and competence, self-efficacy, global innovativeness, individual factors, self-determination, dynamics of professional life, departmental culture, research-oriented culture, and situational factors. All driving factors in the linkage cluster have a strong driving power of 9 and a strong dependence power of 14. These driving factors are unstable, and any decision taken in response to them will affect others and feedback on themselves. The first 6 driving factors influence the individual's inherent ability to achieve significant academic career progress. On the other hand, the other three factors such as departmental culture, research-oriented culture, and situational factors pertain to the institution's means of support to increase research performance. These factors, providing a robust environment of research quality, were considered the most influential predictors of RP. However, as our findings suggest, they are significantly impacted by the driving factors, and so the initiative designed to address them may not be very efficient. The driving factors such as mentoring, institutional support, electronic information resources, research funding, and reward system are identified as having independent characteristics. These factors had been driving power but low dependence power. Thus, these are substantial driving factors and may be treated as crucial of all driving factors, considering that they are the most important causative agents affecting RP in the institution. For emphasis, Figure 3 shows that this main factor for RP, mentoring with driving power of 10 and dependence power of 2, directly involves 6 driving factors. On the other hand, the electronic information resources, having a driving power of 10 and dependence power of 2, directly affects 2 driving factors. The findings in the study are consistent with others in the literature, particularly highlighting that mentoring directly improves the soft and technical skills of academic and enhances their self-efficacy. Furthermore, the utilization of electronic information resources also improves the competency of the researchers. Thus, the provision of electronic information resources and mentoring opportunities is crucial in improving research productivity in academic institutions. Meanwhile, institutional support with a driving power of 15 and a dependence power of 1 has a direct effect on 11 driving factors. Similar to the findings of White, high institutional support impacts research performance through its positive influence on the faculty cultural setting, work characteristic, and personal factors. Furthermore, institution with an effective management approach generates faster growth in research productivity. Policies that support research-related activities enforced in the institution have contributing factor, especially on the time utilized for productive research endeavors as an academic can spend. Research funding, on the other hand, has a driving power of 10 and a dependence power of 3. This means it directly affects 2 driving factors. As evident from the results of Wei and Wang, the provision of research funds leads to a higher level of RP. Adequate funds for cutting-edge tools and resources needed to specific research outputs can support the academics working in institutional and able to provide such resources. Lastly, the reward system, having a driver power of 12 and dependence power of 2, directly affects 4 driving factors. Positive and direct enforcement of reward system to an individual faculty significantly impacts scientific and publication performance, as an apparent in the work of Kwan et al. Given the interconnected and relevant relationship of the driving factors of research productivity under the independent cluster to other driver factors, stakeholders and decision makers should focus on providing improving research, funding schemes, reward system, and institutional support for the faculty members in the respective institution, as its driving factors have significantly influence over the factors in the system. The finding of this MICMAC analysis offer invaluable insight for decision makers of HEI. In this section, the main driving factors are emphasized since they are considered the key driving factor for affecting the productivity of research academics in institution. Institution support may be demonstrated in various forms. Here we identify 3 forms: financial, infrastructural, and human capital. Providing research funds to carry out research work is straightforwardly for obvious reasons. A sizable portion of the institutional overall budget may be allocated to producing research output regarding funding the operational expenses of research projects and research dissemination costs. In conclusion, research productivity plays an important role in knowledge transfer and innovation. Due to its significant impact on socioeconomic development, the current literature has examined how certain factors influence research productivity. A comprehensive list of the factors that drive research productivity has been established up until the present. However, the positive relationship between the identified driving factors have not been explored in the literature domain. While empirical evidence reported that these factors influence research productivity, it is important to consider that these driving factors may impact other factors due to their loosely defined boundaries, which is crucial in developing insights for policymakers and HEIs to maximize research output, such as gaps serves as the main departure of this work. However, this work has its limitation. The number of experts may have been grounded for future studies. Since the decision makers are all from the Philippines, their judgment may not really reflect other institutions with different culture, resources, bureaucracies, and empirical analysis of interrelationship between the driving factors of RP had not been investigated. For future works, statistical modeling can be adapted to validate the subjective relationship between the driving factors as discussed in this work. Finally, a close to similar analysis that should be adapted decision-making trial evaluation laboratory or the DMATEL in examining the causal relationship of these driving factors is an important future agenda to further reinforce the insight of this work. That would be all. Thank you so much for listening and good day again.